Well, folks, I done did it again. Yeah. So we can blame this on two things. One being stress, and the other being a podcast episode that I just recently listened to. So, the last book haul for a while, I actually mean that this is the last book haul for a while. Not for like a super long while, but just for a couple of months because I need to control myself. I think the next time maybe you'll see one of these is potentially in like the fall or the winter, because I know already I have Barnes and Noble money that I haven't touched yet, and I know already that will be going towards two books that I've been highly anticipating this year, and they both come out in like the fall. So that will probably be the next book haul. But I'm gonna try to like contain myself because, dude, I got more books again. It's not like a grand amount, but it's more, and there's no excuse other than this is what I do when I get overwhelmed. Yep. Let's let's get into the new friends that I have here. The first three books. The first three books are actually due to a podcast that I've been listening to. It is called The Poisoner's Cabinet. Different stories, and one of their tales ended up being about Nellie Bly. She was a reporter. She was a female reporter in the let me see, when was this? 1870s, 1880s, I want to say. And yeah, so she was actually, I think she's technically under the muckraking era. Basically, her first thing that made her very famous was this particular book. It is 10 Days in a Madhouse. It is a first-hand account of life at Bellevue Hospital on Blackwell's Island in oh my gosh, what year was it? This sticker is in the way. 1887. So this was her first big assignment, basically, was to infiltrate Bellevue Hospital because there have been some reports about just terrible treatment of patients there, and awful conditions that they were living in. So she basically went there, infiltrated, and just made reports and got them back to people. So this is the full account of her reports that she was giving to her newspaper that she worked for. So I ended up getting that. And then another thing she's also famous for is Around the World in 72 Days, which is a journey that she undertook to basically, it's, Jules Verne wrote about Phileas Fogg going around the world in 80 days, and she said that, you know what, I can probably do it quicker than that. So yeah, she proved them right. She did it in 72 days. So this is the account of that journey. This particular book, this is called The Mystery of Central Park. I don't think this particular book is a nonfiction like the other two are. I think this might actually be a fiction novel, but I could be wrong. I didn't really know that much about it other than the fact that Nellie Bly wrote it. And since I wanted to read some of her works, I ended up grabbing this too. So, yeah, the writing in here is very interesting, but I do appreciate that the type is big because, thank you. I don't want tiny writing. It's hard on my eyes after a while. So then when I went onto Thrift Books basically to look up Nellie Bly and to get some books written by her, I ended up looking at my cart. I filled the cart basically on there several months ago in anticipation of when I could buy books again, and kept like filling and taking things off and then filling it again. Basically just a form of stress relief, but never actually pushing purchase or anything. I just kind of left it and then I closed out of it. Hadn't been back in months, so when I grabbed those, I ended up grabbing a few books that were still kind of chilling in my cart because I thought, screw it, why not? So the first couple are romance novels, and actually they are two romance novels that I've read previously. They're both by Nora Roberts. So the first is Northern Lights, and this takes place in Alaska. So here's the synopsis. Lunacy was Nate Burke's last chance. Lunacy is the town in Alaska. As a Baltimore cop, he watched his partner die on the street, and the guilt still haunts him. With nowhere else to go, he accepts a job as chief of police in this tiny, remote Alaskan town where the peace provides a balm for his shattered soul, and an unexpected affair with pilot Meg Galloway warms his nights. But other things in Lunacy are heating up. Nate suspects the killer of an unsolved murder still walks the snowy streets. His investigation will unearth the secrets and suspicions that lurk beneath the placid surface, as well as bring out the big city survival instincts that made him a cop in the first place. And his discovery will threaten the new life and new love he has finally found for himself. I remember this novel cracking me up, being really exciting, and also just basically solidifying for me that I desperately need to visit Alaska at some point. I have never been, but saying I desperately want to visit Alaska at some point sounds pretty crazy when you think about how much I really don't like being cold. However, Alaska is absolutely gorgeous, and the more I've read about it and different like things I've seen about it, I really want to go someday and visit it. So yeah, this book was part of me really wanting to go visit it. But yeah, so I grabbed this because I like to do a reread. I basically my thought was months ago when I started putting things into this cart was, hey, there's a lot of Nora Roberts books that I used to get out of the library, and there are several that I didn't really like, but there were quite a few more that I really enjoyed, and I actually kind of want to own my own copies. So that's what these two ones are about, basically. And then this one is Tribute, and this was actually the first Nora Roberts book I ever read. And this is, here, I think it'll be easier for me to just read this one too, rather than try to remember exactly what it was about and explain to you. Scylla McGowan, former child star, found more satisfying life restoring homes, so she comes to Virginia's Shenandoah Valley to save the dilapidated farmhouse that once belonged to her grandmother, a legendary actress who died of an overdose more than 30 years ago. Plunging into the project with gusto, Scylla's almost too busy and exhausted to notice her neighbor, graphic novelist Ford Sawyer. Love him. Determined not to carry on the family tradition of ill-fated romances, Scylla steels herself against Ford's quirky charm, though she can't help indulging in a little fantasy, but it's reality that holds its share of dangers for Scylla. A cache of unsigned letters found in the attic points to a mysterious romance in her grandmother's life, and may be the catalyst for a frightening, violent assault. And if Scylla and Ford are unable to find out who is targeting her, and why she may, like her world-famous grandmother, be cut down in the prime of her life. This was the first Nora Roberts I read. It is what got me into Nora Roberts, and basically into like most romances, because before I read this, the romance novels that I were reading were bodice rippers. Basically old Harlequin, old Avons, that I would like sneak and read at my grandparents' house, and or my mom used to get this romance book subscription thing, and I think they were also like the silhouette romances. There was a lot of like Navy SEALs and cowboys. Just series, and it would just be a lot of cowboys. Because I was genuinely my mom likes Western romances. I am not particularly fond of them. So that was the kind of stuff I was reading, which was okay, but not really what I was looking for. I didn't think it was like they're fine. I want more than just like your stereotypical they meet, they flirt, they have love, they break up because of something, they get back together. Like that formula just completely over and over. And I'm not saying that Nora Roberts doesn't have that, because she definitely does in all of her, or if not all, like most of her novels. But what I liked about these was, starting with this one, there was other things. There's like other elements to things. There's like a serial killer, there's a mystery, there's like a family scandal, there's like underlying mystery and thriller elements to it. And up until that point, I didn't think you could have a romance novel that also was a mystery, or a thriller or anything like that. And I didn't think that was like a thing back then. So this was huge. So yeah. Anyway, what I mean to say is I was happy to get this. Oh, looks like somebody was using a receipt as a bookmark. That's fun. Yeah, so grabbed a copy of this. Excited to do a read of this. Then I also decided to grab another Terry Pratchett. So I am, besides We Free Men, I have been trying to read Discworld chronologically from when it was published. And I know that that's like, I know that that might bother some people, because there's like different character arcs and like stuff that most of the time you're supposed to follow. I don't want to do that. So, I mean, besides We Free Men, but that was like where I started with Terry Pratchett. So, yeah, oh, they're in the living room now. Basically, I have the first, I think it's like the first 8 books, basically, and I only have, or maybe it's first 6 books. Bad at math, guys. Anyway, I still have unread Pyramids and Guards, and I want to read them this year, but I also wanted to get the next following book in the series as well, just as like a buffer book, so I do have another Pratchett to hopefully also read this year, or maybe get me into next year. And when I saw that it was another book about like the witches, I was like, oh hell yeah. So it's Witches Abroad. It's the next book in the series. It says, once upon a time, there was a fairy godmother named Desiderata, who had a good heart, a wise head, and poor planning skills, which unfortunately left the princess Emberella, aha, I see what you did there, in the care of her other not quite so good and wise godmother, when death came for Desiderata. So now it's up to Magrat Garlic, Granny Weatherwax, and Nanny Ogg to hop on broomsticks and make for far distant Genoa to ensure the servant girl doesn't marry the prince. The road to Genoa is bumpy. Along the way, the trio of witches encounters occasional vampire, werewolf, falling house, trouble, basically just craziness, shenanigans all around. I love the witches. I love them so much. They're ridiculous. So, yeah. And then, so I have a couple of, well, this one's definitely YA. I don't know if the other one counts as YA. So the first one is this, and these are both books that I have like had my eye on for a while. The first of these is Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee, and this is a book in a world where basically superheroes, like, and superpowers, they're like common, so it's like all over the place. It says, yeah, it's where superpowers are common, internships are complicated. Just ask high school nobody Jessica Tran. Despite her heroic lineage, Jess is resigned to a life without superpowers and is merely looking to beef up her college applications when she stumbles upon the perfect paid internship, only it turns out to be for the town's most heinous supervillain. On the upside, she gets to work with her longtime secret crush, Abby, whom Jess thinks might have a secret of her own. Then there's the budding attraction to her fellow intern, the mysterious M, who never seems to be in the same place as Abby. But what starts as a fun way to spite her superhero parents takes a sudden and dangerous turn when she uncovers a plot larger than heroes and villains altogether. So, yes, I do like a good superhero story. I enjoy when it also delves into the supervillain territory, and I wanted something that was a little bit different than just like your typical like superhero thing. This almost, except for like the supervillain bits, the like part about, you know, not really having like powers and everybody else has powers and all that kind of thing. Like, it screams that, like, what was it? Like Sky High or something, or like My Hero Academia. That is what it is saying to me. A little bit, only, you know, more supervillain action. So, yeah. Excited to finally have this and to read it. And then I also ended up grabbing, I want to take this like plastic off, because I honestly don't really like to keep the library stuff on here if I can help it. But it is A Castle in the Clouds. This is by Kirsten Gier. I have heard basically nothing but good things about this book for like since basically this came out. So this says, I'm sorry guys, I'm lazy today with my trying to give you synopses. Sophie Spark has her work cut out for her. As an intern at a grand European hotel, she has to deal with snooty guests and their mischievous children, handsome newcomers, and preparation for the famous New Year's Eve ball, but unexpected problems keep arising and some of the guests are not who they pretend to be. Sophie soon finds herself in the middle of a perilous adventure and at risk of losing not only her job but also her heart. So it's humor, thrills, romance, sounds like there's like a mystery element and stuff like that. Yeah, like I said, I've heard like great things about this book. Also, I like all the little, like, there's like flower details in there, and look at this. There's flower details in here too. It's kind of cool. I've been wanting to like collect more books by some of my favorite authors. I have, I want to say like probably like 5-10 authors that I basically would love to read everything they've ever written. And one of those authors is Amy Tan. And I had found out that she actually wrote Sagwa, my gosh, Sagwa, is she like the Siamese cat? Or the special cat, something like, yeah. Anyway, that was a cartoon that I watched when I was younger. Was I too old, technically, for the cartoon? Yes, but I still watch cartoons when I was, like, technically too old for them. And I really liked that one. And, yeah, so I found out, oh, Amy Tan actually wrote the book about that. So I'd had that in my cart, as well as another children's book that she wrote and a couple other of her books. Well, the other ones, Thrift Books didn't have them anymore, so they went automatically into like my saved section basically on there, but one of the children's books was still available. So I grabbed it. It is The Moon Lady. So this is written by Amy Tan and it's illustrated by Gretchen Shields. Basically, on a rainy afternoon, 3 sisters wish for the rain to stop so they can play in the puddles and wish for something, anything to do. So Ying Yang, their grandmother, tells them a tale from long ago. On the night of the Moon Festival, when Ying Yang was a little girl, she encounters the Moon Lady, who grants secret wishes of those you ask, and learn from her the wishes are those you make come true yourself. And this is actually like adapted from something in the Joy Luck Club, which that's one of my like favorite books ever. So yeah, as excited about this book. I also really like the art. this in here too. It's very colorful and pretty, very detailed. So yeah. So yeah, guys, I got more books. Oops. But that's them, and like I said, I'm gonna try to not get any more until, like, you know, the fall, when I have 2 books coming out that I really want to read. But yeah. Anyway, let me know if you guys have read any of these. Let me know if you're interested in any of these. I will be, of course, reading them. I don't know. I'm gonna try. I know I won't be getting to this one anytime soon, but I think the potential for me getting to the others, or at least most of the others, is pretty high. I know I'm definitely going to read these soon. I'm definitely going to read this soon. Definitely going to read these soon. And I would like to read at least one of Nellie Bly's books really soon too. I just have to decide which one I want to read first. So, yeah, if you're interested in any of these, you will probably be hearing my thoughts about them at least this year. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for always watching. Thank you for joining me in my shame once again. If you're new here, please consider subscribing if you would. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.